Einen wunderschönen guten Tag aus Delhi, ein herzliches Grüß Gott. Welcome and good afternoon from our head office in New Delhi. Mein Name ist Bernd Andersson, ich bin der stellvertretende Wirtschaftsdelegierte der Außenwirtschaft Austria, des Außenwirtschaftscenters Neu-Delhi, und ich darf Sie sehr herzlich bei unserem Webinar zum Thema Water und Waste Management und Sanitation in India begrüßen. I'm going to switch to English now as we're going to conduct this webinar in English. Hello and everybody, thanks for being with us. My name is Bernd Andersson. I'm the commercial attaché at the Austrian Embassy commercial section at Advantage Austria, India, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. Throughout the next hour, we are going to get a bit more into the topic of water and waste management, but in India. But before that, I would like to briefly introduce what we're doing as Advantage Austria here. As noted, we have our office in New Delhi, but we also have two supporting offices in India, one in Bangalore and one in Mumbai. Our sphere of influence or competence even goes farther than that, as we also support business activities in Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. So also countries where we have consultants that help support us. India is quite an important country for Austria, even though it's just the 26th largest export destination for Austrian business. It hosts up to or more than 700 Austrian companies doing regular business each year in India, and we have more than 150 subsidiaries here in India. Well, Advantage Austria is the official trade promotion and innovation agency of the Austrian economy, and therefore it is our task and our purpose to support all Austrian companies as well as their subsidiaries doing business in India. But let's get more into the topic at hand, and let's see what we have lined up for you. We're going to start out initially by an overview on the water sector by my colleague and our expert, Amritpal Singh. Afterwards, there's going to be an overview on the state of play and the ongoing challenges with regards to water and sanitation in India by our expert, Dr. Suresh Kumar Rohila. Where there are challenges, there is also potential, and some of those business potentials will be highlighted by Mr. Rajnish Chopra, who's going to look more into the side on how his business is operating in the field of water here in India. And where there are opportunities, there are also success stories. And one of those success stories we are very happy to share with you today, as we have the winner of this year's Energy Global Board for India with us, and we're gonna see which project helped him elevate in that prestigious category. In the end, there will be a Q&A session, so also sort of information for you. You are able, you can always ask questions in the chat to us during the webinar. We're gonna try to answer them all in the end. If at some point there might be difficulties for you to stay connected, don't worry. The webinar will be recorded and you will be able to view it afterwards on our YouTube channel. We'll be happy to provide you with the link as well as with any presentations that you're more interested in, as well as the contacts of our distinguished speakers. So without further ado, let me get into it and give the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Amritpal Singh, our senior expert at the Austrian Trade Commission in New Delhi. Amrit, please fill us in on the current state of play.
Thank you, Bernd. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amritpal Singh, and I will be presenting a brief overview of the water and wastewater sector. Before starting it, let's have a look at the urbanization background in India, because it's very well linked with water and wastewater in India. 1/3 of the Indian population lives in cities, and GDP, 2/3 of the national GDP comes from urban sector. There are 8,000 cities and towns in India, with some mega cities like Delhi with 30 million people, Mumbai 24 million people, and Kolkata 16 million people. And a massive migration to cities is happening in India at the moment, and every minute for next 20 years, 30 Indians will be migrating to cities. And it's estimated by 2050, 70% of Indians will be living in cities. And this is going to create a huge stress in the cities which are already suffering under the poor infrastructure at the moment. Let's have a look at the waste and wastewater status. Solid waste management, 145 million tons per day of waste is being generated, and it's estimated that only 60% of it is processed. In the water and wastewater management, we see that water supply, sewage generation, and sewage treatment is increasing. I mean, we got two set of figures from 2014 and 2018. We see that water supply is increasing, has increased from 62,300 million liters a day to 103,000 MLD. Sewage has increased from 49,800 MLD to 92,400 MLD, whereas sewage treatment has increased from 23,270 to only 26,070 MLD. That means the treatment is severely lagging. Government has taken some initiative to rectify the situation, and some of the missions which the present government has started are Smart City mission, which was started in 2015, Amrut, which is urban transformation, again started in 2015, Namami Gange for cleaning of Ganges River, again started in 2015, Swachh Bharat mission, like a Clean India mission in 2014. And recently, the government has came out with Jal Jeevan Mission 2019, which the aim of which is to provide a tap water in every household. And the mission has been started with the rural sector at the moment. Then there's a mission of Smart City mission, which is focusing on mobility, solid waste management, water supply, sanitation, and control and command center, which is basically IT support for 100 chosen cities. There are 5,314 projects which have been tendered, and so far the information is available that 2,780 projects worth 481 billion rupees have been completed. Amrut, which is urban transformation, which having the similar focus on water supply, sanitation, and green spaces in the urban area. It's a 5-year mission for 500 cities. For water, under the Amrut, 390 billion have been allocated, and for sewerage, 325 billion rupees have been allocated. Under Jal Jeevan Mission, which is the objective of which is to provide safe drinking water for each rural household by 2024, 390 billion has been allocated. And as per the data available on government website, 44% household tap connections have been provided till this year. Under the Namami Gange Clean Ganges mission, focus is on making the sewerage infrastructure in 11 states through Ganges River passes. In fact, it's estimated that 37% of Indian population lives in towns and villages around Ganges, and they depend on it for drinking water and the irrigation water. 340 projects worth 283 billion have been sanctioned. 187 projects are completed while 150 are in process. Again, under Swachh Bharat mission, for urban areas, the focus is on toilets, waste connection, waste to energy, and waste to compost. 140 billion funds have been allocated, and as per the data available on the website, 6.26 million toilets have been constructed till now, and 95% wards or sectors in country are collecting 100% door-to-door waste. 70% of the total urban waste is being properly processed as per the government data available. Coming to water and industries, the major water consuming industries are food, chemical, textile, power, and pharmaceuticals. And industrial wastewater, about 6.2 billion liters of industrial wastewater is being generated every day, and 90% of it is untreated. In the Ganges, every day 250 million liters of industrial effluent is deposited every day, which is a huge amount of effluent in one river. Major players in India in water and wastewater are Indian Home Pipe Company, they are in the water and waste. Larsen Toubro, again, both in water and waste. Hindustan Construction Company Limited in water supply. BA Tech Babag, water, desalination and waste, and Mr. Chopra from BA Tech Babag will be giving more information about the sector in little while. Veolia Water India Private Limited, they are in water waste. Vishwaraj Infrastructure and Ramki Infrastructure Limited, both are in water and waste. That's from my side, a brief overview. And now I will hand over to Ben for passing it on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrit, for giving us the scope and scale here in India in the sector. As clearly can be seen, it's quite a massive one. It's now my pleasure to introduce a true expert on the matter, Dr. Suresh Kumar Rohila. He is the Senior Director on for Water Projects at the Center for Science and Environment here in Delhi. And I'm very happy that he will share some expertise and insights on the current state of play, as well as the challenges that we're facing here in India today. Dr. Rohila, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Amrit, for setting the context. A very good afternoon and good morning to all attendees. I would take 15 minutes, and I have a couple of slides which I will use to present the case. I represent Center for Science and Environment, a global policy think tank, and we are recipient of the Stockholm Water Prize. I also happen to be the head of the Center for Excellence, assisting the Government of India, both urban and rural ministries on water sector. And if we see today, based on our analysis, we have found that India is a water-stressed country, and 54% of India faces high to extremely high water stress, because the per capita water availability has declined from 6,000 cubic meter per person to below 1,500 cubic meter, which is the international standard. And the Niti Aayog, which is the planning body in India, has presented a very alarming situation that 600 million people in India have, high to extreme water crisis, and 70% of India's water is contaminated, and several cities are going to run out of water. All major cities have been projected to be running out of water in coming 1 or 2 decades. One of the major things which emerges out of today's current situation is that there is a demand-supply gap in the municipal water supply. A lot of individual groundwater extraction mechanisms are there as a coping strategy to meet the water demand-supply gap. And cities which were extracting water from 20 feet below ground are now going deeper, and they are at the depth of 250 to 300 feet below. And we have just done a mapping of the issues of water management in the smart cities, which Amrit was talking before. You would see that there is a coexistence of problem of abundance and shortage. There is a problem of urban flooding reported in more than 50% of the smart cities which are being planned, as well as these cities are also having major groundwater issues. And so we have a issue of abundance of water because of the extreme weather conditions, rainfall changing pattern, and the monsoon, and then we have a depleting groundwater. This was talked about by a previous speaker, Amrit, that we are a big, large country, and we have 3 Indian cities greater than 10 million and 53 cities more than 1 million. Rapid urbanization is posing major policy challenge and management issue. How India plans for its water supply is presented in this table, which clearly says that if you are planning a city with sewerage system, then 150 liters is the technical norm per capita per day for a person. But if a town or a village has to be provided without a sewerage system, it is 70 liters. The difference between this, you can see, is you need at least 80 liters of water only for flushing toilets and disposing of the human waste. This is the hard reality in terms of numbers. So this is the norms which are set by Government of India. We have done a mapping of the water supply in the cities vis-a-vis the technical norm. 72 cities of different size were studied, and if you see, the sky blue color is the big city, metro city, and the dark pink color is class 1 city, and then there are moderate size class 3 and class 4 cities. This dotted line shows that 150 mark, that which is the technical norm. We observed that small, medium, and large cities, all cities were giving more water supply, and that there was leakage losses and unaccounted water also. So there was a huge issue of water management across the country in different size cities. However, there were more losses in the bigger cities where the water supply is more centralized and dependent on piped water supply through river and other sources. As small and medium towns, if you see at the bottom, the pink and the orange color, the losses were less. Now, one of the things which comes out is that, there is more focus on increasingly more and more water. Nobody is planning for waste. 80% of the water after consumption becomes sewage, and there is no account of sewage, how much it is, generated in true sense, because cities think that whatever is the municipal supply, 80% of that is taken as a sewage, and they plan for that. However, to meet the demand-supply gap, a lot of individual groundwater extraction happens, and sometimes the sewage generation in a city is double the amount, the quantity of water which is supplied, because people are extracting. An individual extraction mechanism is there to meet the demand-supply gap. This is the analysis of this is that, currently Amrit had talked about 2021 data is available. In fact, the sewage treatment capacity, if you see this large circle, has gone down from 30% earlier in 2015 to 28%, which clearly shows that, cities are do not have conveyance system. Sewage is not reaching, sewage treatment plants are not working. Whatever number of projects or tender projects or money spent is being shown is not reflected in terms of other regulatory agencies. It clearly shows that with India is dependent on on-site sanitation system. A considerable population is not even connected to the sewer system. So this is one of the big challenges. So the current picture, what emerges is that overall today, there is a focus on that if you become from a village to town and a town to big city, you bring water from far away distant sources. That is the conventional unwritten rule. And if you really think of a planned settlement, then you think that you will also dispose of your sewage outside the town near to the river or water body. These are all centralized systems. And today the situation is that I think there was the first city in this 2021 which was declared that it had 24/7 water supply. Otherwise, out of the 8,000 urban centers, none of the cities have 24/7 water supply, and the sewage treated is not treated. And as I said, that this image on the screen shows that the local area and the drains and the local environment is contaminated because of disposal of unsafe sewage and human waste, because human waste from the toilets is being disposed of in this local surrounding environment, which is contaminating the sources of water supply, river, lakes, and groundwater all. So this is a picture which has emerged based on, because India has gone open defecation free last year. There was a focus on making toilets, which is important and necessary. However, at the back end, there is a problem that nobody is addressing the issue of liquid waste management, which has now started becoming as a part of policy focus. Now, end result is that there is a huge pollution and sources of water supply are contaminated. The SDG model says that you have to put the last person first. We are a democratic society, and also values of frugality and rationality have to be there. And our evaluation must capture this richness. We should not plan for just few, but we should plan for all. I think keeping that in mind, what I present is that Indian situation, every context is different, and we have a context different from a developed one. That we are at crossroads. A large number of cities, if you look at on these, Amrit cities are 500 and smart cities are 100. Remaining 7,500 cities are at crossroads. They have not even covered with water supply or sewer system. Either we follow the same path that, first we provide water, sewer, and drain system, or we move towards water sensitive cities. The Center for Science and Environment is pushing for this, and these ideas have found way into the policy circles, and this focuses on increased decentralized water and wastewater management. And there have been some big wins in this. Some of the recent big wins in India after this full advocacy on decentralized wastewater management and making water sensitive cities, I would like to share some big wins. Some of the big wins is that the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban, which Amrit was talking before, the second version of that has been launched, and the Swachh Bharat Mission, Clean India Mission is there, which talks about covering all the urban centers with, safe disposal of human waste from the toilets which were constructed in the phase one. The problem is very decentralized, and there are also focus on that every small and medium or human settlement will be covered into this program. There are huge amount of funding available from government, with state providing certain fraction of this funds. There is also a buying at the national level. The focus has moved away from just infrastructure creation or asset creation to water conservation, rainwater harvesting, and groundwater recharge. And these are basically for source sustainability. So these are the missions, the Jal Shakti mission, Atal Bhujal mission. These are for groundwater recharging, because groundwater provides 80% of source of water supply in India. And this is one of the national level focus of the program. Then there is also focus of involvement of people. Post independence, we realized that there has been a lot of institutionalization of water, and institutions and engineering dominated approaches took over. However, India is a vast country with different rainfall pattern. So people know how to manage water, and people need to be involved in all the asset creation or infrastructure creation. And this has become as a big national movement, with the Prime Minister of India launching Jal Shakti Abhiyan, where they are moving beyond just engineering approach and engaging with communities. So as a conclusion, I would like to submit that today the idea of sustainable water management is accepted, and but the practice is very difficult, because a lot of solutions which are coming to India are basically unaffordable and unworkable. The practice does not push the level of change and the big ticket change which is required in India. So what is required today is that there is a challenge of innovation in policy, which we see there have been some success. However, the practice is difficult on ground. Challenges of the scale at which we want the change to happen in the transition, and challenges of the capacity, multipliers of the society who will think differently and act differently. I think this is what I wanted to say, and without the clean water and sanitation, other goals and targets of SDGs will never be achieved. I think that is what is the core driving thing for India as a democratic country, the largest democracy, which is pushing the change at a big scale. On one side, it's fine that the focus for infrastructure and companies would be on basically few big ticket projects, However, but to achieve the scale, we need to push the practice, and we need to build capacities of small and medium towns as well as all the initiatives. And I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rohila, thank you for laying out the current state of play in such a comprehensive and understandable way, and also showing us what are the most crucial areas that we'll have to address in order to face those challenges. One company that is facing those challenges and contributing in their own way is VA-Tech Wabag, a company with a close connection to Austria, but located here in India. And I'm very happy that Mr. Rajneesh Chopra is here with us today. He's gonna talk about how his business is operating in the sector, and maybe has some insights for us for any companies that are thinking about also joining his ranks and his successes. So thank you very much, Mr. Chopra. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you so much for that kind words. Just to tell all the people who have joined us today, I represent VA-Tech Wabag Limited. It's basically of Austrian origin, but currently headquartered in Chennai in India. As far as our operations are concerned, we operate in almost 4 continents, and we have executed projects in 30 countries. We, proudly claim ourselves to be a water technology company. So we have our R&D centers based out of Chennai, Vienna, Austria, and in Switzerland. Now, I'll see Mr. Singh and Dr. Rohila have already explained a lot about the Indian water sector. So what I would like to see is, from the business perspective, all the challenges and the current state of affairs, where I see a huge gap between what is the kind of infrastructure which is available and what is required, both in the centralized and decentralized model. There is a huge opportunity for the companies to pitch in terms of providing the infrastructure and providing technologies, as well as even providing the financing. So I'll come to that a little later. But if I have to broadly describe, there are opportunities in the water treatment sector, there are opportunities in wastewater treatment sector. There are huge opportunities in terms of sustainable solutions, where from wastewater we can, recover energy, we can recover, recycle the water, and also manage the sludge to convert it into various uses, be it a manure or for, certain industrial purposes. So these are where, definitely Europe is ahead of us, and sludge management is a current thing, which they are already addressing. India currently has the highest economic growth. So even in the industrial sector, as Mr. Singh mentioned about certain sectors, another sector I would like to add is, oil and gas and petrochemicals. That's another sector which in India is catching up. There is a lot of movement of manufacturing from China to India. So that itself is opening a huge market for us in, managing both water and wastewater, including recycle and reuse in the industry as per the current legislation. So that's and above all, India's commitment to SDG 6 for providing water and sanitation to all by 2030. So these are the major triggers which can lead to a lot of business opportunity. And I'll just take you through my slides now. So I think Dr. Roila has adequately mentioned about what is the current state of affairs as far as waste treated, the sewage is concerned. So I think there is a huge gap there, and it is only going to get more and more since water supply is going to get increased. So one is the water demand, and secondly the water generation. And I fully agree with him. Based on our practical experience, also we have found that there is no correlation between the amount of water we supply and the sewage which is generated in various cities where we are operating. So there is a huge scope for treating wastewater here. And definitely, as per the schemes which are mentioned by Dr. Rahila and Mr. Singh, I think it's not about only large projects, which maybe companies like us are executing, but there are now smaller projects coming under the Swachh Bharat mission, where it is going to address the challenges which are in 100,000 and less population cities. So there's going to be a huge scope there. And if you look at Europe, I think there are a lot of towns which have very low population. So I think the European companies are well geared to address that without any challenges and bringing in the latest technologies. Also, there are certain institutions like we mentioned about National Mission for Clean Ganga, and also this Jal Jeevan Mission, where you can definitely register online and even propose them new technologies. If they are successful, they will definitely approve. The government will approve those technologies going forward, and that can be incorporated in the projects in India. So looking at business opportunities, I think as our Niti Aayog and Dr. Rahila also mentioned that we are a water-stressed country. So sustainable solutions and primarily recycle and reuse. And I'm quite proud to say that between the industrial and municipal sector, I think as VATech Vabag, we are currently recycling close to 500 million liters of water each day. And we saw that the industry was a front runner, where they introduced all this, and now the municipal sector is also catching up. Not only this, there are 5 states in India, that is Tamil Nadu, where we are based, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Haryana, and Karnataka, where they have already come up with their state reuse policies of treated wastewater by 2030, and they are looking at first target is of achieving around 70% and maybe ultimately 100% of water. So whatever is the water stress, that is leading to some business opportunity where technology is involved. I think last year, we commissioned a plant which is 45 million liters of treated wastewater getting treated and being supplied to industries. So even from the government's perspective, since this is for a typical municipal industrial collaboration, there, whatever is the capex, it is getting recovered in 3 to 4 years, maximum 4.5 years. Maybe Chennai has more water stress. Other places it could go up to 5 to 6 years. So even from government's perspective, If it is going to be of industrial, reuse, I think definitely it makes a business case, and I feel that there will be going forward a lot of traction happening, especially starting with the states, which I just now mentioned. Now, the circular economy model, I think resource recovery concept, utilization of all components of wastewater, use of biogas. I think as a VATech Vabak, for last 15 years, we have been building plants which are power neutral. So whatever is the captive power required, that is something we are generating from the gas of which is coming out of the sludge. And the latest is the one which we commissioned 3 years back in Varanasi, which is our Prime Minister's constituency, which is a 140 million liters per day sewage treatment plant, which has become power neutral now. And now going forward, we are in the process of commissioning certain projects where we'll be converting all the sludge into manure and distributing free to the farmers, because government is incentivizing that, because directly or indirectly it has a lot of economic value in the agriculture sector. Now, if all these three components are there, and even in large urban areas, today, whatever tender is coming out, they are saying we have no space to give you for disposal of sludge. So no landfills are available. So that is where the technology can play a key role, and companies like us and others from various parts can definitely play a role in that. Next slide, please. The other business opportunities we see is desalination of seawater. It is definitely the last resource. Wherever fresh water is available, definitely we recommend use of fresh water, followed by recycle of the water, because that is definitely much lower. But going forward, I think even Niti Aayog has said that India needs to capitalize on the more than 7,500 kilometers of coastline we have, and we are building a lot of plants, desalination plants for large industries which are on the coastal belt, because they want to be water secure. And we have also built the largest desalination plant so far in the municipal sector in India, which is based in Chennai, where I'm also currently based. The other factor which I spoke about was on industries. And in industries, we see that today there are legislations where zero liquid discharge, so that if I'm running a large industry, I will not be able to discharge even a single drop. So it has to, all the wastewater has to be recycled, and whatever is the leftover, it has to be crystallized and through evaporation, and only a secure landfill, which is the bare minimum what is available today. That only engineered landfills are available. Here we see that again, the concept of recycle we have been implementing for last 2 decades, but currently now even energy recovery out of industrial waste is also gaining traction. It is the large industries like Reliance who have taken the step forward. And we believe that in times to come, even we'll find that smaller industries or common effluent treatment plants where a cluster of industries are there, that's where all these things will get implemented. So that is again opening a huge opportunity. Yeah. So I think Dr. Rahila mentioned about capacity building, capacity and capability building. So one of the areas where we see that companies like us can contribute is training people to manage the huge infrastructure which is going to be created. And even as per one report, I think it was from NERI, that with the current outlay, there is a scope of almost 1 million green jobs, because to manage these infrastructure so we have been doing our bit. We have been continuously hiring people, training them, and putting them into our operations and maintenance. So we have been doing this in the Europe. In India we call it one city, one operation. So there is a huge opportunity for managing and upgrading the existing infrastructure which is available rather than totally creating a new infrastructure. So currently we are operating 2 cities. One is Ghaziabad, the other one is Agra. It's not just the city, even the peripheral cities are there. So this, I believe, is going forward is going to be another huge opportunity. A lot of places overseas, we call it, utility management, where all our latest practices, softwares can play a key role. And this, I spoke about wastewater. In water, as mentioned earlier also by Dr. Rohila, I think non-revenue water reduction, because most of the cities have over 50% of non-revenue water, the distribution losses. So GIS mapping of the entire, network and then managing it, I think that's another huge opportunity, which can, not only maybe encash for business, but that can help us, save a lot of water and make our cities more water secure. Now, another project, which the business model, which is fast emerging in India, it started with National Mission for Clean Ganga, where hybrid annuity model, where the government pays you 40% of the capex by the time you finish the project, and balance 60%, you have to mobilize the funds as a concessionaire, and that is paid as an annuity over the next 15 years. So both OPEX and CAPEX are there. And at least with the federal government, there is a 100% payment guarantee mechanism, which is already existing. The other is on, build on BOT's model, where again, I think there is huge scope for investors to pitch into the Indian sector. Although there is a lot of outlay for the water, but I find that based on our current interaction in various states, definitely center has been, allocating the funds. But as far as states are concerned, post-COVID, they definitely have a challenge on, even giving their contribution, and more are moving towards a hybrid annuity model there. So this is another big opportunity. Can I request for the next slide, please? Yes. So I all spoke about a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, it is leading to a lot of challenges. Now we have been successful in bagging a lot of projects which are based on hybrid annuity model. Now these are currently in Ganga belt, where we have to deal with the federal government as well as the state government. So since water is a state subject, 100% funding is coming from the federal government here. So the coordination between the two, and is definitely a place where there's a lot of scope of improvement. And based on our current experience, we have been sharing that both at the state and the central government level, that how in future projects that can be ironed out. We have, based on our experience, we find that we have backed the project, but basic environmental clearances, which is on account of the local or the central government, they are not in place, or they take that takes a lot of time, which leads to delay and enhanced cost of the project for us. Sometimes even the land allocation becomes a challenge. So these are a few things where we find we have been giving our feedback to the government, both through industry bodies as well as indirect interaction also, that we definitely need to improve upon this to make these projects more feasible. And also the delay in payment when it comes to states. As I said, post-COVID especially, there's a challenge with the states because a lot of funds were diverted for COVID management. So it will take some time before it's back on. So that's currently a big challenge we are seeing. Now, opportunities I have already mentioned. I think scaling up water and wastewater infrastructure, as well as the water infrastructure and the investment opportunity. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chopra, for giving this truly insightful overview on how you tackle this area and what the business perspective sort of brings to the table. I've now the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Maulik Sisodia from Tarun Bharat Sangh. I will briefly, before I give you the stage, introduce why we have the pleasure of you joining you here. It's about the Energy Globe Award. If we could just go to the next slide, please. Just a moment to talk about what the Energy Globe Award is and why we're so privileged to have a winner here with us today. The Energy Globe Award is a global sustainability award that is being awarded and being contributed from over 180 countries around the world. It's organized by the Energy Globe Foundation, situated in Austria, which is also the reason why we are very happy to be a partner of this award. Just recently, we have awarded the global winners in Glasgow last week as part of the COP26 conference. But there are also national winners in all the participating countries. And today we have Mr. Maulik Sisodia with us, who is the winner from India, and he won by submitting a project, and such a project can be submitted by individuals, NGOs, or companies, and they're all eligible. So if you're more interested in the Energy Globe Award, and you can also submit projects for next year's award, you can go onto the website displayed here. But without further ado, Mr. Sisodia, thank you for joining us. Congratulations. And if I may ask you, please tell us a little bit about your work and what you've achieved in the recent time.
Mr. Brent, first of all, I'm so much thankful to the. Am I audible?
Yes.
First of all, I'm very, very thankful to the esteemed jury of the Energy Globe Award for selecting us for this year's India's winner. And also, I'm thankful to Mr. Hens, who's Trade Commissioner, and he visited us today, just few hours back, and presented us with so beautiful certificate of Energy Globe Award. Let me tell you that what the work we are doing, or what we have received this award actually. We are an organization, grassroots implementing organization based in Rajasthan, which is one of the most driest state of India. And we are, our vision is we dream of a world where dignified and self-reliant communities live in harmony with nature. Yeah, thank you. Actually, this organization was founded by Mr. Rajan Singh, who's also known as Watermen of India. And we are the one who promoting community-driven, decentralized water management. Means we promote that communities, the local communities, should have their rights over the water resources, natural resources, and they should be capacitated well enough so that they can manage, so that they can conserve, manage their water resources by their own. And in last 4 decades, we have been able to impact around 1 million lives, and we have been able to make 1,200 villages water secured. What do you mean by water secured? Actually, is that even if we have a drought of 3 years, those villages, they won't need to migrate. Those people don't need to migrate from to leave their place to go to the cities in search of jobs. So they have enough water for their own domestic purpose and also for their agriculture purpose. Next one. As I said, that in last 40 years we have worked in 1,200 villages where we have made small, around 12,000 rainwater harvesting structures. But for this particular award, we have been chosen because of our work which we have done in Karoli district. Karoli is one of the most backward district of India, and it is considered as an aspirational district. So we started work there around 6 years before, and we chosen one river. Actually, we believe that if we concentrately work on a small river basins, we can rejuvenate them. We can rejuvenate those small rivers which are dried now, and which are dried because of our greed, because we have exploited them. And so what we do, with the community, we make small rainwater harvesting structures at the specific points where whatever the rainwater we conserve, it can get percolates inside the earth, and it regenerates, it replenishes the aquifers of earth, and also it restores the ecosystem all around it. So it's not only providing water to the people, to the human beings, it's all about giving that water back to the mother earth, so that, because everybody knows, if mother earth doesn't have water, so we won't be able to survive. So now the time is to quench thirst of mother earth, then we would be only able to survive ourselves. So in last 6 years, we have created around new 50 rainwater harvesting bodies in this small river basin, which is known as Sherni River, and the result of that work is happening that after 6 years now, that river, which was only used to flow for 2 months during monsoon, now it is flowing for the whole year. So next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, just keep it. Actually, these are the small representations that how we when we say that we do water works. Actually, we think that we don't do water conservation. Actually, we mobilize people. As I said, that we promote community-driven decentralized water management. So we bring people together and say and tell them that it's your problem and it's the only you who can solve them. So you should be the part of the whole solution. Means you can't just sit on the fence and see the people or the government or other people are coming and working for you. It's not possible. It won't be sustainable until unless you won't be part of this whole process. So we bring them in and then decide that what should be done with their river. Actually, we create a river parliaments on a river basin approach where the people decide that where should be the rainwater harvesting structure made, what should be the rule that from which month to which month you can extract water from river or not. So these are some social ground rules which is developed by community themselves. They keep discipline on themselves because they know their responsibility, and it results into the rejuvenation of rivers, it results into rejuvenation of ecosystem, it results in rejuvenation of our mother earth. So because I had a very small hand, so this was a very short description introduction of our work, for which we have been chosen for this prestigious Energy Globe Award. Thank you, and once again, thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Sisodia. Quite terrific. We've gone full circle. We've heard from academia, we've heard from the business side, and we've also heard from the NGO side. So thank you for your presentation, and again, congratulations. Now we're at the point in the webinar where, as we've heard a lot, we can answer some open questions. So there's still the possibility to type them in the chat. If there is not the possibility for you to come to raise a question now or to get the answer now, feel free to call us later or to send them by email. So you have a question regarding, do you see opportunities for Austrian companies for providing software solution for water management in India? I'd like to address this this question to Mr. Chopra. Maybe could you give us a brief insight on the role software solutions could play in the business sector?
Thank you. So I think it's a very relevant question because everybody is talking about digitization in the water sector as far as India is concerned. So as I mentioned even in my presentation, there is huge scope for bringing in new softwares as well as some of the latest hardware in NRW, non-revenue water reduction. So this is one area. Then we have very old infrastructure in terms of the network. So GIS mapping of the infrastructure, it's another area where the software companies can pitch in. Now on the treatment side, which is our core strength, both in the water, wastewater, desalination, effluent treatment, I think already we have been using softwares which are provided by the leading software players. Mainly we have seen it coming from players like ABB and all. I think it's more the larger players which got their presence in the country and the ability to support after providing the software during the operations. So if there are Austrian companies who have the maybe one, definitely some advantage over the existing softwares, and secondly where they can support it, so maybe some kind of a local tie-up or a local base here would definitely lead to much more business than what currently they can anticipate in India. That's my view on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the meanwhile, I have another question, but from Dr. Rohila, I believe it is. So the question is sort of, what are the areas that are most underserved at the moment? I believe this concerns towards, is it sort of a question, there's a lot done, or you've noted there's a lot done in terms of water supply, but not so much in water treatment. And also, is there a lack of, is there discrepancy between solutions in the urban areas, whereas in the rural areas there still needs a lot to be done? So where do you believe, where the sectors or the areas where we have to catch up the most?
Thanks for the good question. It's a very nice question. The issues is that within the urban areas also there are areas where you have to work. Like even if you look at national capital, 35% of national capital is not even connected to sewer network. So this is basically the areas which are not connected to the network lie even in the national capital. The same is the situation in the rural areas where there is no conveyance system for taking away the waste as well as providing water supply. There's one thing which I want to add in addition is that water in India needs to be thought about everybody's business. At the moment, what we are talking here is that whether the company has a role in infrastructure creation, all those. The soft side of water business is that water has to become everybody's business. In India, what is happening is that the communities and the users are just subscribers. So if you really want to, in a water-stressed country, if you want to talk about water sensitivity, then you have to take the people along with you, and communities need to be engaged in this process of whatever options are available. How do you want the water to reach them? How do you want their wastewater? So at the moment, I think the issue which I think none of the speakers before presented is that due to the political economy in India, neither the water, neither the wastewater charges are recovered from the users. So in this situation, which businesses will survive? So just wanted to end up there.
Thank you. Thank you, terrific. Okay. And I have another question. Will the interlinking of rivers project in India ever see the light of day? Maybe like a policy question. I don't know if that's something for you, Amrit, if you can talk about the interlinking of rivers project.
Interlinking of river, you have rightly said it's a policy matter, and but I understand previous regime was quite keen on this, but so far I think Dr. Rohila will be a better person to inform whether this present regime is taking up this interlinking of rivers as with that much seriousness or not. But
don't mind taking up the question if you allow. Yeah. Thanks, Abhrit, for passing on to me. This is a very, very interesting, question. I see that India is a diverse country and sources of water supply are diverse. We need to plan with those diversities. That is my personal position. I don't see countrywide at such a scale interlinking of rivers is the right option available and should happen. The diverse, like we have the world's highest rainfall, we have the lowest rainfall area also. The issue is that you have to look at decentralized options rather than going centralization, because that is what I strongly feel, and I don't see that this will go in a big way.
Okay, thank you for that that concise answer. And the last question is actually for Mr. Sisodia, if you're still with us. The question is sort of from an NGO perspective, how do you see the interlinkage between civil activities, civil initiatives, and the business sector? Do you work closely together with businesses, or where do you see potential here?
Actually, we don't work very closely with businesses, yeah, we do implement CSR things and all that. But as an organization who's working for the last 4 decades in the water sector, we have a little bit different perspective on it. It's about rivers. I don't know whether it's about why do we want to link rivers? Actually, they don't have water now. Means why to link rivers? Means I don't think that they do have that much water that you can transfer the water from Ganges to other rivers. Just see the data; they will speak for themselves. Only for just creating those artificial lakes and artificial tunnels. Okay, it may be, but yeah, there are some certain things also that there is still flooding problems in Bihar and other things. But we don't think so that they will allow their water to go to some other states. They are state conflicts. So we do have example of SYL Satluj Yamuna link. They have linked those rivers, but still there is no water in those. It's 4 o'clock. So this is from my side. Actually, it's a very debatable issue, and we can go on for hours and hours on this.
All right. Oh, I can see that, but thank you very much for that input on your side. We've just been informed we have reached our hour mark. If we just can hop on to the next slide. To do business, I want to inform you that there are future events coming up that might be interesting to you. We are organizing an Austria showcase on climate change and smart cities. So if there are any Austrian companies around that are interested in presenting their solution to Indian stakeholders, please keep that in mind. You still can apply to sign up this week until this weekend, so please be fast. And then we have 2 catalog exhibitions, one for ENGIMATCH and one for CL India. So any Austrian companies that want to have their products presented there but are not able to come themselves, that's something for you. With that being said, I want to thank you very much, especially to all the speakers, but most importantly for all the attendees that have settled for this time slot here. We will show this webinar online on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it if you wish so. If any questions come up, please feel free to write us at any point, and we're happy to serve you in this matter or in any others here at the Advantage Austria New Delhi. Thank you very much. Have a great noon in Austria and a great afternoon in Delhi. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Ich hoffe, wir sehen uns bald wieder. Einen schönen Tag noch. Goodbye.